Hey, hey, how's it going, you guys? Just gonna give it a couple seconds, see if anybody joins me on here. I am gonna share a few things that I'm excited about. First and foremost, for those that don't know, I am Dr. Shanae Turan of SP Consulting Group. I am the founder, owner, CEO, all things, everything for the time being, because we're growing. For the time being, and I am an organizational development psychologist as well as a licensed therapist, licensed clinical social work therapist, as well as your work life balance strategist, especially for women in the workplace. So I'm just going to be on here for just a little while. I actually got motivated to come on here after talking with one of my clients, not my last client, but my 3 o'clock. And so, what I got inspired to talk about was a lot of the struggles that she is having in the workplace as it pertains to her race, ethnicity, skin color, everything like that. So, I wanted to bring back wellness watches. Okay. So for those that used to follow me, maybe you still do, I would do a wellness watch. And the whole point of that is to really help give tips, tools, uplift leaders to really be able to show up on purpose. And what we're going to be talking about is what we're not going to do, or like as some of us like to say, what we're not going to do. And I wanted to come from that place of recognizing workplace challenges that are faced specifically by Black women in leadership. And I really have a personal story to tell about that. I'm going to save that for later, but we are going to get this started. It'll possibly be every Tuesday and Thursday to just check in on a few things that come up as I'm doing my work as a executive wellness coach. Um, and like I said, I was motivated to come on here to talk about recognizing the workplace challenges specifically for folks that look like me, because in working with the client that I was talking to, what came up is that there was a situation in which she has climbed the corporate ladder. Her office is even next to the CEO, and something basically came up where there was someone of a different ethnicity that began to be very disrespectful to her because they she wouldn't meet the deadlines that I guess they wanted her to meet at the time that she they wanted her to meet them. And so ultimately it spurred this conversation that I want to start as it pertains to how do we show up when we end up in a lose lose dilemma. And this is for my Black women in leadership that don't necessarily have their own business. And maybe you even encounter it if you have a team and you have some people on your team that may have a hard time, you know, expressing themselves in a less than equitable manner. But here's a couple things that I had told her, and I want you to be able to write these things down and check it out. See if you are interested in using this. But there were three things in particular that I asked her to do, and I'm going to share it with you guys and really just hope that in the essence of it all, if you want to dig into this a little bit deeper, just with me, you can definitely do that. There's information in the little banner that's going along here. But the first thing that I asked her to do, besides all of the audacities that she felt, was to first get clear on what was actually her trigger. What was it that this individual actually said to her, and why it is that it bothered her. So we went through a sequence of questioning But the ultimate thing was she had to first identify the trigger, and the trigger actually didn't have anything to do with how this particular woman responded to her. It wasn't really what was said, it was actually some underlying beliefs that really led her to be very frustrated. It led her to really feel like, why do I have to prove myself again? I got this role. You don't even know. There were some other things that could come up for you as well if someone is disrespectful to you and you're just like, excuse me. But either way, get clear on your actual trigger. Is it really what the person is saying, how they say it when it's all said and done? Or is it something else? Is there something that you haven't addressed in your personal life that was triggered by this person being disrespectful to you? Is this something that was from your previous workplace? Was this something in your life? Maybe you have always dealt with insecurities and someone says something to you and you're like, oh, excuse me? Whatever it is, get clear on the actual trigger, not necessarily what the person said, but why is it that what they said had that much power over invoking your upset, right? So the next thing I had advised her to do was to identify what she can do to own her role and what she can do to really stay in alignment with the purpose that she had in place for her position in the first place. Like if you came to do a certain job and someone is questioning that has no authority to either employ you or in any other way have any influence over your job, what can you do on your own to manage your own emotions? Again, I'm coming from the standpoint of wellness, balance, having some sort of, tranquility, peace to your work life situation. And so when it's all said and done, sometimes we have to realize with us being in the middle, there are some things that are going to impact us in our business, impact us in our workplace that is actually triggering something that's in your personal situation, personal experiences, past traumas, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to be able to identify it in order to explore it. So watch this. Once you've explored it, you want to get into the place where, as you have gotten clear on what the actual trigger is, you've gotten to the point of identifying what it is that you can do to own your role and the intended impact you're supposed to make, regardless of all of that. Then you get to the next place where you realize that you need to have time with yourself, of coming to a place of humility. Is it ego? Is it anger? Is it something that triggered you that ultimately will find you in a place of quiet? To take some time with yourself, get quiet, and really begin to work through those issues. Now, you may have a coach, and I'm always big about, encouraging you, if you already have a coach to work through this with, bring these things up. If you are finding yourself in the same challenges, I'm butting heads with the same person that I'm supposed to work with, and nobody's leaving. What can you do as far as inner work, as far as coming to a place of balance and wellness to ensure that you can be in the work environment, even if you're working from home, the workspace, without having stress and overwhelm, and for some people even to the point of panic attack because they don't want to deal with certain people. You're trying to avoid this person. Every time I have to have a meeting with this person, I'm annoyed. Those feelings are being evoked because of a trigger, which again, in the beginning you got cleared on. But why do they have that much power over you? You have to ask yourself that in your processing what is actually the issue. You really want to say to yourself, why am I giving them this much power? And if I know that I can't change anybody but myself, what can you do to get alone with yourself to actually begin to work on, resolve, heal the things that are being triggered in the workplace, but also bouncing back in a sort of a boomerang fashion back to stressors at home, and you're dealing with all this mess. The next thing or I'll say the final piece, and this is probably number 4, even though I'm about to have a colorful commentary. Johnny, go back over there. I'm also starting to buy more in Podicus. I mean, Podicus and Bumpy and Breakfast. Okay, I'm almost done, baby. Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, so the last thing after you, and I'm going to repeat these in case you're following and don't want to get confused. So the first thing is get clear on the actual trigger. The second thing is to identify what you can do to own your role and your intended impact. The third thing is to get to a place where you take time to actually go through and resolve your issues. Okay? And then the final thing is take some time to actually plan out a schedule. Okay? This is going to be in this video. But either way, take some time to figure out what your schedule is. Come on, you're going to be in this video with me. No, I ain't. So be quiet. Take some time to map out what it is that you are needing to do to restructure your life. If you know that you are now in a place of working through maybe past traumas, past events that were stressful to you, you're working yourself through that. You need to give yourself space and honor the transition. We're talking about when you're making changes, even as it pertains to work and life, in order to find balance that is sustainable, you have to really work it, engage all of your senses, and be able to truly process what's going on. What do I need to do about it? What is in my circle of concern versus my circle of influence? And as I work on it, okay, you're going to identify ways to work on it. If you have a coach, if you have a therapist, if you're working with me, so you get, 2-for-1 deal with me, both therapist and an executive wellness coach, then you will be able to say specifically, these are the things that have become stuck points for me. These are the challenges. And again, if you notice, we've stepped completely to the other side of the street as it pertains to the people that are being more prejudiced, or they have a what do you call, like, microaggressions. They're displaying microaggressions, prejudice, discriminative acts, all these things that are not signs of equity, inclusion, and appreciation, respect for diversity. I have not said anything particular as it pertains to the other person. And that's on purpose, because you can't change other people. But what you can do is help teach them how to treat you in the way in which you respond. So if you know that you have challenges in the workspace, again, if you are a business owner and you find that I have a team, and I do have these moments where I'm butting heads with my assistant, I'm butting heads with, my marketing person, my, sales rep, whatever it is, you want to be able to understand that regardless of how much strategy you use in business, in the workplace, in your office, you have to understand how everything of you, everything about you is and will come into contact with everything that is about your business. And that's why, when it's all said and done, I do executive wellness coaching, because I have seen so often that, when people talk about bad bosses, or, a coworker from hell, it's really a situation of people each having a story. Everybody has a story. And how can you then implement and use as a tool emotional intelligence to know that I know what's going on with me. I know that other people have a story, and I'm going to empathize with that other story, even if it is just on the surface level of, I know they have another story. I may not know it yet. I may not get the details ever of it. But what can you do to recognize that there are extra struggles? Okay. There are additional struggles that are faced by women of color. And I'd like to, just from a point of reference, say Black women in leadership. And so, what I will be doing on Tuesdays, Thursdays, around about this time, you can always set your phone, your device up to get alerts of when I go live. But I will be starting off this new year, really delving into workplace leadership, entrepreneurship, all of the challenges that we must address and not ignore. And the name of this particular series, and I haven't decided yet how long I'm going to do this, but it's really what we're not going to do. Okay, what we're not going to do, because we want to be in the place that we aren't setting ourselves up for failure. Instead, using these roadblocks as stepping stones to greater, stepping stones to a more strategic and aligned purposeful impact. Okay. So this is what we're going to be talking about. You're going to see all kinds of shenanigans because of the time, but I'm going to try doing evenings. Tried some different times. I'm still trying to discover that for me, but that's me being human, trying to figure out what's going to work best in my schedule, which is why, feel free to subscribe, like, click on the little bells and do all the things so that you can follow. Okay. So again, this is Dr. Shanae of SP Consulting Group, located in downtown Los Angeles, California, where I serve as an organizational development psychologist, as well as a licensed social work clinical therapist. And I am the owner and founder. And I really love to focus on work life balance for executives that are women of color. Okay. So we're going to delve into this. Things are going to be more refined, but just catch me when you catch me. Okay. And I hope that you find this of value. Comments, put the comments below. Let me know if there are struggles that you've been going through. Every day that I jump on, and otherwise there is a call to action. That call to action is to be in touch. Be in touch with your questions. Be in touch with topics that you'd like to have explored. Okay, so you guys take care. You guys have a great evening, and let's welcome back Wellness Watch. Okay, Wellness Watch, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna kick this off, starting out with Wellness Watch for Black women leaders, so that we can overcome these challenges, really show the world how much power we really have to impact the world for the greater, impact the world, the community, everything that we touch. Okay. So you guys take care. Happy New Year, and let's get this going right. Okay. Comment below. Bye.